Hello, and welcome to today's podcast with The Quarry. Now, there are people who build businesses to make money, and then there are people who build things because they believe in something, because they want to leave a mark. And my guest today is one of those people. He's an entrepreneur who's built a successful career in business, but instead of stopping there, he's chosen to give back in a way very few people do. This is a conversation about business, sport, and what it really means to build something that lasts. So I'm delighted to welcome Rob Jones to our studio today. So Rob, thanks for taking time to sit down with me today. So if we go back to the start, so where did your story begin? Like even before you started in business, where you grew up and what that was like?
So I was born in Northwich, in Cheshire. Both parents were teachers, so they met at university. They settled in a place called Northwich, and my sister and I were born there and grew up and stayed there till we were sort of 16, 18, went through education. It's a nice little market town. It's deteriorated now, unfortunately, like a lot of UK towns, but it was a great market town. Went to sixth form there, made loads of friends, but my parents decided to move to Guernsey in 85, and they bought a little hotel. And I finished my A-levels and decided not to go to uni at the time, but maybe go to Guernsey and have a bit of an adventure and see. And I didn't know anybody at all, but I just came over here and got a job with a trust company, first of all. And then really never really looked back. Been here for 37 years. I'm one of those people that thought, I'll give it a go for a year. And there's lots of people out there in the same situation as I. And here I am 37 years later. And, this is my home. I love it. Family, everything. My kids are grown up now. And, I love the place.
So when you were like growing up in Northwich, did you have any clue about like what your future might be or what you wanted to do?
Not at all.
Like that?
No, like everybody else, 16 to 18, you pick your A-levels, you go through UCAS and university applications. I wanted to do sports science. Guernsey, you'd never even heard of Guernsey. We had no idea where Guernsey was or the Channel Islands, and I was destined to go to university and go back home and work in Northwich, I think, and that was the plan, like everybody else, and that would have been great as well.
And what were you like growing up? What sort of what character did you have?
I was quite a real. No, I was quite I would say quite a compliant kid. Probably, I think quite sensitive, quite caring. I love my sport. I went to a Sunbatch school in which is an independent boys' school. So I really loved it. Similar to Elizabeth College over here, the same sort of history and teaching methods. And I really enjoyed that. I really thrived with the cricket and the football. And then 16, I left there and went back to my hometown of Northwich, which is 10 miles away, and did my A-levels there. And that was the first time I was co-ed. So 16 to 18, I just had fun, too much fun actually, and then didn't get to the university that I wanted to go to. Hence my decision: shall I stay in Northwich and maybe work for Barclays, which is their head office, or try something else? So I took the leap of faith and came across to Guernsey.
And when you look back now, are there things from your sort of when the younger you that you can see formed how you then have taken the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think so. We were sort of working. We grew up on a sort of not a council estate, but the 3-bedroom semi. Like all my friends, and very humble beginnings, no money. And I think that taught me the value of money first of all, and then making friendship and caring, because everybody looked after each other in the street. And God, it sounds like in the 1800s, but no, that was
a long time ago.
It was a long. Thanks very much, Warren. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but we learned. That's where we learned our values of friendship, making ends meet and doing the best you can for your family and your friends. And I think I had 4 part-time jobs between 13 and 18. Bar work, potato picking, petrol pump attendant, waiter for a couple of years, and every penny counted. And that really taught you first of all the value of hard work. And working for some pretty brutal people back in the 80s, chefs in large chain restaurants and pubs and landlords of pubs, and there were some pretty tough people there. And I think got some hard knocks then. Also learned good things and bad things that you try and pick up those during your life, and you have a locker of. Those were good bosses, and I learned a lot from them, or they were poor bosses, and you take the good and the bad, and you try and mould it into in the way you want to be as an individual, and as a boss, and as a person.
Yeah, I was talking to someone else this morning about something like that. That even it's the bad experiences also form you, don't they?
100%, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Thankfully, not too many, bad ones, but I think I can take a few punches.
So if we then jump to starting up Aztec, as in Aztec Finance,
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
um, how did that come about? And were you ready for sort of jumping into starting up a business?
Not really. So I mean, backtracking to the 90s, I came back from uni in the 90s and worked for a big bank when I came back. But then I went to Barings, the good old Barings, and Barings was an institution in Guernsey, and it was the biggest private employer at the time. I think 450, 500 people worked at Barings, and that was a fantastic place to be. So I did 10 years there. Then my girlfriend and I went off travelling and came back in 2001, 2. That I fell into what was called private equity. I had no idea what private equity was. As it turns out now, it forms a huge backbone of Guernsey and the fund market over here. Big employer, and it's a nice place to be. So everything I learned at uni and through Barings, I could take those skills into private equity. And I worked for a couple of places, and then one of those sliding door moments. I had an invitation from a recruitment agency saying, "Would you like to interview for a new firm that wants to set up in Guernsey?" And I had 2 children at the time, very young. I had a nice settled job. And I thought, I don't know. And Rachel, my wife, just said, sometimes you just got to go for it. So I met the CEO and the CFO, got on really, really well. They offered me the job, and so I decided, yeah, what the hell, let's take a leap of faith, because if it doesn't work, there's always a fallback opportunity in Guernsey. So it was a shot to nothing, as they say in golf. And I took it in 2006 and just on my own, started the business. I'm not taking all the, Aztec existed in Jersey, but this was their first sort of foray out of Jersey, and I took it and built the business, gradually over the next 15, 16 years. Not me, a fantastic team and a fantastic group globally.
Sure. But what was it like in those early days? Because starting anything from
It was
scratch, blank sheet of paper, is all essentially
It
is
was
always hard.
fantastic. It was great fun. I look back on those days with really fond memories. So, the levers used to exist down in the, we were down there at lunchtime buying our plates and pots and pans and things like that. And, we'd go to the post office, pick up the post. There was only 3 of us in the office, and we had a dingy little room in NatWest House, as it was, around the corner from the taxi rank, and until we moved to Tudor House. And then we grew over the next 2 to 3 years to about 25. Then we grew to 50, and then we moved down to Trafalgar Court, which Aztec is still there now with, I think, 250 people. But those early days were great fun. You were winging it. We literally, the first day I was in the office, I sat there. There was no emails. There was nothing ringing, no phone ringing. I thought, what on earth have I done? And my 2 colleagues at the time who joined me, we sat there doing the crossword, hoping that the phone would go one day, and thankfully it did. And as I say, the rest is history.
So we talk about like lessons that we learn.
Mm.
So obviously things must have gone quite well, because you've got over 250 people
Yeah.
working there now. So, but what is it on the other side? What things either I don't not necessarily went wrong, but where were things hard that you maybe learnt things from?
Well, the first thing was the financial crisis in 2008. So we just started the business, we'd invested in staff and premises, and suddenly the financial crisis hits, and you think, oh my goodness, how is it going to? I mean, it was calamitous, But thankfully, private equity was reasonably safe. They weren't doing deals, but the investors were still looking to fundraise. Guernsey was still the top destination, and business was still coming here. And we had some good competitors. So I learnt business development, because I hadn't really done much business development. So I learned business development, spent a lot of time on flights, going into London, meeting our BD guys from London, and really traipsing the streets like every self-respecting private equity administrator does over here. But you put in some really, really hard yards, and that was tough with family at home as well. Sometimes 3-4 days on the trot in London, just pounding the streets. And you knew your competitor had been in 3 hours before you, and you knew you had to go in and do a better job. And that was how do you differentiate yourself in a reasonably homogenous market? And we managed to win our fair share of stuff and grow the business. But I think the most important thing was the culture And I put that down to the CEO at the time, who was still, it's Edward Moore, started the business and still remains a massive figurehead in the business. And the way that he let us get on with it, he kept a very light hand on the tiller, but he said, Guernsey's yours. You grow it. You learn by your mistakes. We'll support you. But your wins are your wins, and your losses, that's down to you. And that was a brilliant way of managing the business, giving you rope, but at the same time knowing that you had support.
So at that time, you're still, I guess, fairly young in finance industry. So,
Reasonably.
yeah. Did it come easily? Like, as in, were you comfortable in that situation? We talk about imposter syndrome?
No. So yeah, before we came on air, we talked about imposter syndrome, and I think a lot of people get that, and I definitely had it. And I'd worked with some great bosses. The previous company I joined from had a couple of, I'm not going to name people, but had some couple of great bosses there. And they encouraged me to go ahead and do what I did at Aztec. But yeah, when you get to 10 or 12 people, it starts not to be a little family. There's a few little things that start to creep in. And I took advice. I had a business mentor, really, really sadly, who's passed away. She was fantastic. And she said, you can do it. If you can do 10, you can do 40. Well, how do I manage 40? And got to 40. And then a lot of it is down to the people that you have around you. And, I'll never take all the credit for Aztec, categorically not. It was down to some amazing people who are still there. They've done 15, 20 years and almost since day one, and they're still there running the business and taking it to the next level. So we surrounded ourselves with some fabulous people. And that's why I think it's been so successful. But yeah, imposter syndrome, when you get to 100, and you think, yeah, oh my goodness. And then at the time we had Luxembourg had kicked in, we had Southampton, we had Jersey had grown to 400. We were becoming a big, big business. And then you struggled. You sit on the executive board and you think, should I be here? Am I? But yeah, then you look back at yourself and reflect. And yes, I should be here. I have got something to say, something to give, and yeah.
It's good. It's good to hear. So fast forward. So you come out of Aztec, done all right, and
dedicate financially, yeah.
but
yeah.
you could put your feet up, but you didn't. Now you then started up Aztec Soccer. I guess there's a lot of questions around that. Why? How long have you been thinking about this? Is this like your 7-year-old?
So I've been running parallel lives, really. One reality, the other one in my head, thinking I wish I could do that. And growing up where I did, this is not a sob story at all, but all we had was a playing field which was covered in dog muck and 50 kids using it every night, and there were scraps and fights, and we had cub football on a Saturday with no nets, and that was the reality of football growing up. And then when I came to Guernsey and saw the facilities here, I was literally blown away, and thought I'm so lucky, and played a lot of football over here and got into the football community, loved it. It is fabulous. But yeah, that 7-year-old always wanted to think, I'd love to be better than this, and I've always wanted this indoor facility. Playing 6-a-side, 5-a-side in the UK for years and years and years, I thought Guernsey needs that. Beausejour was okay, but not full time. This was the dream. So Tony Vance is my good mate and my business partner. We've been talking about this for 15 years, and coming out of Aztec or finding funding was always the the sticking point. Thankfully, there's a bit of money came out of Aztec, and I thought, right, now's the time to do it. Because, as you say, I didn't want to put my feet up. I think you have to have purpose, and there's a whole different podcast there about purpose and leaving a job and then what you do for the rest of you, like your third generation, if you like. And I thought, why not invest now? And what's the point of leaving it when you're 80, when you're 85, and not seeing the benefit of it? And that was my philosophy, and still is my philosophy. So Aztec Soccer was born, and the soccer centre was really successful, and that vision of what we wanted it to be, was fully realised, and it's a great facility.
Is it a different journey to like your starting out in business and finance, because it's such a different fit market, everything about it is entirely different to
It's real.
working in
It's real.
finance.
You
Yeah.
know, finance has been fantastic. It's great for Guernsey. It's great for a lot of people. It's a wealthy environment, football environment. We're dealing with people that cannot afford, some parents, families, kids cannot afford to come in and spend £10 to do an hour in the zone. So, you know, we have little freebies here and there, but then it's the real society. You're dealing with the whole breadth of society. People walking in off the street, and the whole gamut of people out there are using the facility. So you really have to adapt, and be conscious that, all right, it's an expensive facility, but it is there for everybody, and they have to be able to use it. And similar to Victoria Park, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a minute, that was never in the planning, by the way. Victoria
That
Park,
was my next one.
it was never
My
in. That was never in.
questions.
No. So I was happy with the Aztec Centre, and then Mr. Vance is quite a persuasive individual, and I'm not taking credit for Victoria Park because a lot of people put a huge amount of work into that back in 2015-16. So Gary Roberts, the FA, the board of the FA, Tony, there was a vision there that was never going to be realised without capital, and that was sort of my contribution to, notwithstanding the fact that I love Victoria Park and was helpful in designing it and dealing with the contractors and everybody, but I'm not taking credit for that. There was another vision there that's now been realised, and it wasn't mine.
So when you set up Aztec
Soccer,
Soccer,
yeah.
yes, were the people that were like, this is crazy, this because it's a visionary idea, it's a big investment for Guernsey, and we have got a small pool of people. We're a limited pool. We haven't got people travelling from all over to come to use our stuff.
Correct.
Did you have your doubters, or were you just very comfortable that this was something you were going to do, and it was all
The wife, for a
gonna
start.
be
Yeah.
fun?
Right. No. She's fantastically supportive. Aztec Soccer is a vocation for me. It's not. It's never going to make a huge amount of money, because you're absolutely right. The footfall here is, and everyone's competing. Everybody, all sports are competing for business. All venues, all restaurants, everyone's competing for business with a defined pool. If you're sat in the middle of Manchester and you put in Aztec Soccer, it'll be overwhelmed. But unfortunately, that's not what we've got here. So we have to be mindful of revenue and costs. But at the end of the day, there's not much we can do about it. So yeah, it's a vocation. It's a lifestyle choice for me and the team. And at the end of the day, we've got full-time employees. We're producing tax revenue. We're producing social insurance. And I think ultimately we're producing a great venue, a great fun venue for a lot of people, which is what Guernsey needs. And I'm all about fun, really.
Yeah. And then Victoria Park, like you said, I was going to ask you, and you basically said, yeah, that wasn't in the plan.
No, it wasn't.
So how did that happen? You mentioned Tony sort of lent on you, but
I just saw the synergies. I just saw this between, and it's, we categorically say Victoria Park is not Guernsey FC. The two are not synonymous. Victoria Park is a community stadium for use by everybody. GFC just happened to be there, but it is their home, and quite rightly so. And until the last couple of weekends, it was a fortress, but they've lost a couple of games. But we want that to be the destination of choice for football fans, and not at the expense of the clubs, because the grassroots and the feeder clubs are so important. I want everybody to work together and harmoniously, and I do think that local football is in a position now that hasn't been in for a long, long time. I think there's what I say harmony, but there's certainly a lot of goodwill between the clubs, who are a bit reticent, because obviously it's a brand new shiny stadium. Are they going to take away? Well, the answer is no, because clubs can play there. We can share the revenue. We've got all sorts of ideas, and it's not just football. It's a community event. We're looking at concerts next summer, charities. We had a great charity football tournament. We want charities to use it, and there's a great clubhouse. So the opportunities down there are great, and I saw that and thought, again, why not enjoy the fruits of what I did, or we've done through Aztec, and just invest in that, and just enjoy it. And seeing the kids, I mean, it's half-term week this week. You see the kids down there. There's 65, 70 kids down there, just absolutely loving it, enjoying themselves on a world-class surface. And I hope, this generates more Alex Scotts, more Maya Letitiers, more Griffins, more Chloe Ingravels, more people that have gone away. Finn Duports have gone away and then come back to Guernsey, and they're now playing for GFC and really taking the game to a new level.
Right, I know it was already in the plans. It's a visionary facility, but it's even more than just the elites, isn't it? Like you talk about community, but it's about getting people active. It's about people coming together. You go to any football match, or even just when the kids are playing, how many people are actually down there just socializing
Family,
or spending time
absolutely.
together.
Yeah. And I think maybe 750, 800 people were there last weekend. We compete with rugby quite rightly. They've got a fantastic following. If there's Priya games going on, they're rightly playing on a Saturday afternoon and watching GFC. But the crowd numbers are fantastic. The bar and the hospitality areas are really thriving. Marvin, everyone knows Marvin, doing a great job down there. And community, you're absolutely right. So it's categorically not the elite. So Sunday afternoon, I went to watch a Division 3 game between, my good friend James Faller's Independence and Rangers, and that was great to see those people playing down there. We've got the academy. We have my old guys. We play on a Monday night, so that's sort of over 50s and 60s. So it's welcoming to everybody and available to everybody.
And when you now walk through the door of Aztec or Victoria Park, do you still have a
Pinch me moment every
Yeah.
time? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, pinch me.
And do you have a sense of I don't know how that would feel, pride or gratitude, even that you could actually do
Everything.
it?
Yeah. Pride, gratitude. Thankfulness. Just the fact that Guernsey has been so incredibly good to me and the family, that putting something back, it was I hate the word, but it was a no-brainer. It had to be done. And also I'm a football coach of 30 years, generally youth and minis. I'm so frustrated over the years, waking up on a Saturday morning, minis cancelled, and I thought this has to be done. Bells, our next door neighbours. Bells have been really, really great. The fact they've got a stadium next door and we're working really well together. Their minis use it on a Saturday morning. We have festivals, we have tournaments down there for the kids, and we're planning a lot more. And we've got the new 7-a-side pitches at the back, where we're going to have inflatable 3v3 pitches, again, ahead of the game, if you like, with what we're doing down there. Soccer schools, academies, it's just brilliant, and it's on an all-weather pitch, and it's 24/7. It's great.
And almost going back to the start, what would that 10-year-old self think about what you've got here now?
I don't know. I'll just be over the moon, absolutely over the moon. All dreams realised, absolutely.
So you can relax now.
No. No, I think I alluded to it before. I think I'm of a certain age, and I hopefully got a few more years left. And what do you do? And I think purpose, waking up in the morning, having purpose. And I'm still involved in the business, both Aztec and I poke my nose in at Victoria Park, and I'm sure Gary Roberts is not very happy with that. But we've got a good governance structure down there. We've got a steering committee looking at the strategy of the place. What do we do going forward? How do we attract business, international business? How do we make friends with the pro teams in the UK? And we've got 5 in the mix at the moment that we're negotiating with on away trips and return trips. So it's really, really positive. So kind of watch this space on that. But yeah, that's the plan for the site.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's you can have a facility, but it's unlocking massive opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it's a trite phrase, but build it and they'll come. Yeah. And I think we are starting to see that. We had some YouTubers or bloggers from over the weekend who were attached to I think it was Horsham that we played, and they were eulogising about the place, the best non-league ground they've ever seen, and that's going to get traction because they'll take that back to Sussex, and and everybody comes over to play here. It's their FA Cup. You saw that you were there on Saturday. You saw the final whistle and the way they behaved. It was like they won the FA Cup. Yeah. Because they'd been away. It was their away FA Cup day to Guernsey. And and that generating that level of euphoria for the visiting teams is brilliant, and the fans. So we've got some big plans down there to attract teams, and we still want a flagship game to announce the opening, if you like, and again we're in negotiation with a couple of really, really senior teams to try and do that.
Amazing. Do you ever does it ever concern you that you might lose your enthusiasm or your hunger for any of this or business?
No,
Or not
no,
even
no,
think
no,
about it?
no. This is that whatever that spark was at age 5, kicking that ball against the wall relentlessly with my dad saying, "What, why are you wasting your time doing that?" I can't get away from it. It's always been there at the back of my mind, and till the day I go, football, and well, not just, but helping the youth, those little kids that were me those years ago, having the ability and the facility to get right to the top. 'Cause I never had that. I wasn't a very good footballer, but I loved it. And to give them the opportunity to go all the way, because Guernsey can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that over here, and we are going to do that.
And on thinking about success, all the things you're talking about, they've got nothing to do with money. I mean, in the background, yes, but you're talking about experiences, about opportunity for young people, things.
Yeah,
Has your idea of what success is changed over the years?
it has. Yeah. I think when you're 20, 30, you got the mortgage, you want a nice car, there's no kids, you want nice holidays, etc. It was all about money. How much can I get to go and do what I want to do? Excuse me. Now it's about giving back, and I think giving back in so many different ways. We're with our sponsorship and the fantastic support we've had from the local community and the corporates to help us down there. We're putting money back into all sorts of different things. So, the Comets, play, the schools. We're looking at potentially getting a minibus. We're supporting referees. So it's 2 referees who go and, high quality referees who go and play in the referee in the UK. We're supporting them. We're supporting players, and nothing gives me greater pleasure than being able to help people do what they ordinarily wouldn't be able to do, and that's what really gives me purpose.
Well, I think that probably is a really good place to round up and just say thank you, because I could probably talk to you for another hour. But
Oh no,
but
it was really
thank you.
that was good. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Warren.
Thank you for tuning into this podcast. If you've got all this way, I'm really hoping that you've enjoyed our work. There's a few things you can do though to support us. Follow, like, subscribe, share, whatever you can do to help spread the word of the Quarry. The other thing you can do is head on over to our website, where you can become a member and really support independent local news.